One. Hello, fans. I know there's been a big call for me to be impeached from the show. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me. I am the judge, jury, and executioner on this program, so tough noogies. Good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago, and I'm probably gonna fire myself after that rant. Today on the program, we're gonna talk about all four sports. A lot of NFL talk. World Series is getting nuts, and of course, basketball is finally returned. We can chat about some basketball, and there's a lot of surprises so far, and of course, gotta get into some hockey too. So, stick with us because sports starts now. Welcome to the Sports Podcast with me, your host, Nick Drago. If you're new to the program, we're so happy you're here. I love new people. We talk all about sports news and information from the previous week, and we maybe shoot ahead to see what's coming up in the next week. So we like to do quick and dirty recap of this week in sports. Specifically the weekend, because if you're like me, the weekends get too busy, you can't even keep up with it all. I'm just kidding, I keep up with all of it, I know what I'm talking about. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button, and you can also find me on Soundcloud, Twitter, YouTube, and the Facebook. Just type in sports with Nick Drago. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pooped. I babysat my nephews this weekend, and those two little dudes are crazy. They're 3-year-old twins. It was a lot of fun, definitely a lot of fun. My 6-year-old niece was here too. She's fun too, but she's not as crazy as the little ones. There. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that. World Series action has been kicking off, and yes, I'm a little sad still that my Yankees aren't in it, but the Astros had to fire their assistant GM, so yeah, you win some, you lose some. And this World Series has been off to a red-hot start. After the Astros made it to the World Series, they lost game 1 and 2 to the Nationals. Right, game 1 was 5-4, game 2 was 12-3. So the Nationals took a two-game lead in the series, and then Astros rallying maybe around Brandan Taubmen's firing. No, I'm just kidding. Astros rallying after that, 12-3. I mean, that's pretty brutal. You're supposed to be the best team in baseball. Astros won 4-1. That was on Friday, and then yesterday they won 8-1. Now, Game 5 is occurring right now. Max Scherzer for the Nats was expected to start. However, due to some neck and back spasms, will not be getting the nod tonight, and that could hurt the Nats. Scherzer obviously being one of the more experienced pitchers in baseball, and definitely one of the most talented. Now, the series is busted wide open right now. Obviously, by the time this airs, this game will be pretty close to over, and we'll have a good idea of who at least has the lead in the World Series, but of course, these things can go either way. Astros, of course, still have the dynamic trio, Verlander, Cole, and Greinke, and so those three players are really going to be necessary for them going down this stretch of 3 games. The Washington Nationals basically are going to have to beat all 3 of them, or 2 of the 3 if they lose tonight. So either way, should be interesting. Excited to see what happens. And looking at NFL football, some of the games from this week. The Vikings are now 6-2 after crushing those poor little Redskins 19-9. Seahawks, they got a big win over the Falcons, winning 27-20. It was a fairly close game, only 182 yards for Russell Wilson, but he did have 2 touchdowns. Matt Ryan did not play for the Falcons. However, Matt Schaub had 460 yards, a touchdown, completed 39 passes. So at least in his absence, I'd say that was pretty darn good. I don't know about you. Lions, they get a win over the Giants, winning their 3rd game of the season. Daniel Jones did have 4 touchdowns for New York, which was not so bad for him. Going into the Chargers and Bears. So Chargers won this one 17-6. It was really close. Phillip Rivers had an okay game. But it was kind of ugly for both teams in this one. So Chargers 3-5 now. Bears are 3-4. Bears are not having a good couple of weeks. The Saints beat up on the poor Cardinals. I think this one was fairly expected. 39-9. Teddy Bridgewater again. Oh, I'm sorry. Teddy Bridgewater did not play. Drew Brees returned to the lineup today. 373 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kyler Murray, 220 for the youngster Murray. Another bad outing for my team, the New York Football Jets, losing 29-15 to the Jaguars. Jets are still 1-6, so take that, Cowboys. You lost to literally one of the worst teams in the league. Moving on, Broncos and Colts. The Colts just barely get a win over this one. I like to call this the Peyton Manning Bowl for the two teams he played for. This was basically a pretty lame game. Denver was ahead for most of it, and then Colts won with a field goal in the fourth quarter. Eagles beat the Bills. I know all my friends here in Philadelphia, where I live, have been hurting for a win. Cowboys have the week off, so for the time being, the Eagles are half a game back behind the Cowboys. The Titans. Titans got a win over the Bucks. They won 27-23. Not a bad victory there. Of course, Ryan Tannehill had 3 touchdowns on the day, and 301 yards for Jameis Winston. What other games we got? Oh yeah, the Rams and the Bengals. 24 points for the Rams. They look super energized right now with Jalen Ramsey helping out their secondary. This is a team that is in a win-now mode. And speaking of winning, hello 49ers. Dude, Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he is just slinging back 51 points. 51 over the Panthers, right? Jimmy G only threw 175 yards, but Coleman, his running back, averaged 9.5 yards per carry on 11 carries. That's 105 yards and 3 touchdowns. Coleman killing it out there, and the Niners are 7-0. And the other undefeated team, of course, the Patriots, winning over the Browns 27-13. We can talk about them as little as humanly possible because I'm not a fan. I'm just kidding. Baker Mayfield, again, not a great game. Tom Brady, 259 yards. So an average game for him. Texans got a win over the Raiders, 27-24. Some big, heavy touchdowns in the final quarter. 3 touchdowns, by the way, for Derek Carr. And the night game tonight is the Chiefs taking on the Packers. Chiefs are 5-2, Packers 6-1. Aaron Rodgers versus Pat Mahomes backup, because remember, we talked about this knee last week. Mahomes will probably not be playing for a couple of weeks. And then on Monday, if you have nothing better to do, which you probably do, but either way, if you rather watch a couple of teams that are basically powder puff slap each other around, you got the Steelers taking on the Dolphins. Steelers 2-4. Dolphins have yet to win a game. And let's look at those standings. Patriots standing firm at 7-0 on top of the AFC East, with the Bills at 5-2 behind them. Remember, they did lose today to the Eagles. Jets are 1-6, Dolphins 0-6. AFC North, you have the Ravens running away with the division at 5-2. Behind them, it's the Browns and the Steelers at 2-4. And then the Bengals, who have not won a game just yet, they're 0-8. Colts are winning 5-2 in the AFC South, followed by the Texans, Jaguars, and Titans, each of which has 4 wins. Jaguars and Titans have won their last 2 games, so they are catching up quick. Colts are on a 3-game winning streak themselves, though. AFC West, the Chiefs are on top 5-2, followed by the Raiders and Chargers. They both have 3 wins apiece. Raiders obviously haven't played yet this weekend. They'll be playing tonight. And then you got the Broncos at 2-6. If the playoffs were to end right now, your Patriots, Ravens, Colts, and Chiefs would be the top producing teams. They'd be in the playoffs. Texans and Bills would be the wild card teams for that conference. Into the NFC, Cowboys, like I said, they're half a game above the Eagles. They're 4-3 right now. Eagles 4-4. Giants are 2-6. Redskins 1-7. So could still go Giants or Eagles in the NFC East. No Eagles fans around here are feeling a little bit deflated, but this win is going to be much needed. Hopefully they can turn that into some more wins. They got an easier schedule coming up. Packers are ahead 6-1, and behind them is the Vikings at 6-2. That's anybody's division right now. Lions are 3-3. Bears 3 straight losses. They started the season 3-1, and here they are 3-4. Sucks to suck if you're the Bears. But who knows? Maybe we'll see it come back by them. Probably not though. Saints are 7-1 right now, 6 straight wins for the New Orleans Saints. Right ahead of them is right behind them is the Panthers, who've won their last 4 games. They're 4-2 right now. Bucks are 2-5, Falcons 1-7. No chance for the Falcons, who've lost 6 straight at this point. And in the NFC West, you got the 49ers ahead, undefeated, 6-0. Seahawks are 6-2. The Rams are 5-3, and then you have the Cardinals at 3-4-1. So Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, all those teams pushing right now for a playoff spot. And if the playoffs were to end now, you'd have the 49ers, you'd have the Saints, the Packers, the Cowboys at the moment, the Vikings at 6-2, and the Seahawks at 6-2. So by far, the NFC is the stronger conference. If you don't believe me, email me, Nick Drago, that's my name. Sports3xpodcast at gmail.com. Email me your thoughts on which conference is stronger. And if you think it's the AFC, you better have a dang good argument. And of course, we can't talk about baseball without going into the coaching carousel that has been the last few weeks. 3 coaches were hired this week. For the Cubs, they've gone with David Ross. Not really surprising to me. They had an old school guy like John Madden, definitely a different person. But they had an old school guy like Madden. He's not the type who's going to listen as much to upper management, and I talk about this a lot, is that nowadays these teams are looking for more of a yes man behind the bench, someone who's going to listen to the analytics. That's why you see all these guys with 0 experience get hired. Gabe Kapler's a good example. Aaron Boone's a good example. They're all over the place. So Dave Ross is a younger guy. He makes more sense for the Cubs. The Padres went with Jace Tingler, which was more of a surprise. We thought they'd go with somebody with a little bit more experience, but apparently that won't be the case. And the Phillies going with my previous guy, Joe Girardi. I think that's a good move for the Phillies. Girardi's he's a player's manager. You know, you saw him crying over CC Sabathia retiring. He loves his players, and he's the type who's going to fight for his players. Now, here's the problem. He's going to have to get his best stuff out of Bryce Harper. And that's not easy, although Bryce has never really had a great coach behind him too. So I don't know. It could go either way there. All right, so we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to get into NBA. The season's kicking off, and there have been a lot of surprises. You will not believe what team has yet to win a game. My gosh, it rhymes with Schmorriers. And no, it's not the London Gloriers. That was so terrible. We'll move on. And I'm also going to talk about hockey, too, when we return. So stick with us, friends, because sports. We'll be right back.
3-yard attempt from the right hash mark. And he hits the upright again. That's impossible. And the Eagles run out into the field, but there's still 5 seconds.
Hey everybody, it is Jamie Grubb here. I am just trying to introduce you to a new podcast that I will be in with my friend Nick Drago. It's called Big Spoon, Little Spoon, and what we're going to do is just pick a random topic out of a hat, talk about it, see if we learn anything, and just have a little fun. So if you want to contact us, see us, we are going to be on Facebook, Twitter. You can email us at wehateforks@gmail.com, and you can also find us on all of your favorite podcast apps. Look forward to seeing you.
Lillard, a chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range 3.
And welcome back to the show. I want to recap some of the NBA games from this weekend, and honestly, season's been heating up pretty well. I'm excited to talk about NBA. So the Heat, they beat the Bucks in OT, 131-126. 76ers got a win over the Pistons, 117-111. Hawks beat the Magic, 103-99. Celtics get a win over the Knicks. Yeah, surprise, surprise. 118-95. Raptors with a win, 108-84 over the Bulls. Cavaliers get their first win of the season over the Pacers, who, by the way, are 0-2. Ugh. Cavaliers get the win, 110-99. Pelicans continue to lose, this time to the Rockets, 126-123. Close game. Spurs beat the Wizards, 124-122. Jazz, they get a win, 113-81 over the Kings. And then you have the Suns and the Clippers. Suns beat the Clippers 130-122. Some high-scoring games all around this weekend. So that was for Saturday. And then the current today's games. Thunder beat the Warriors 120-92. Warriors, by the way, have not won a game yet this season. They're 0-2. Not a great start. Grizzlies are currently losing to the Nets, but it's close. There's 6 minutes to go and only 3 points between them. Mavericks are beating the Blazers 71-59. Timberwolves and Heat, they're about a point apart right now. At the it's 37 seconds left in the second quarter, 54-53 in favor of the Heat. And then later on, you got the Lakers and the Hornets. Okay, so let's talk a little bit here about the standings right now. So in the East, right, you have 3 undefeated teams. And granted, these teams have only played 2 to 3 games, right? This season can shake out so much differently. But the Hawks right now, Trae Young is playing exactly like we expected him to. He's had like 36 points in their last game. Atlanta, the Trae Young experience, could be ready to challenge this year. We were unsure about this guy. You know, he's short. Wasn't looking too great in his first season. He fizzled out. This might be what we were expecting from the guy. 76ers are 2-0. Heat are also 2-0. Jimmy Butler seems to be working out very well for Miami. Celtics are 2-1. So are the Raptors. So 2 contenders that are, of course, up there. Bucks 1-1. The team that only lost, a handful of games last year, lost one of their first 2 games. So that hurts. So are the Cavaliers, Magic, Nets, Hornets. They're all 1-1 as well. And of course, if we go all the way down here, you got the Pistons, Wizards, Bulls, the Pacers, who are 0-2, and then, of course, my team, the Knicks, who have not won a single game because they're terrible. Actually, I will say, RJ Barrett, really liking what I see from the guy. So maybe the Knicks have a future just, within a year or two. Don't trade Barrett away. Don't screw him up. Don't try to get a superstar. Let's just build from the ground up and go from there. In the West, you got the Nuggets, Mavs, Timberwolves, and Spurs all undefeated. The Spurs are obviously the bigger surprise here because they did not look so great last season. Timberwolves didn't look so great either, but they look at today. Doncic and Porzingis, that's been working out real well. Doncic's having some great games. Porzingis looks like he's getting back to his old self. He is injury prone, Mavericks fan, so don't hold your breath on this one just yet. Suns, Clippers, and Jazz, they are all 2-1. And then you got the Rockets, Lakers, and Trailblazers, they're 1-1 apiece. So again, so early, these things could shake out. You have 4 undefeated teams, 4 winless teams so far. The Grizzlies, Warriors, Kings, and Pelicans. Obviously the Warriors being the biggest surprise. Pelicans being down 0-3, well, they did have their team basically fractured, hemorrhaged this offseason. But we were expecting more. Zion Williamson obviously not playing. But it's a shame. So that's what we have. And moving into the realm of hockey, this weekend the Hurricanes beat the Blackhawks 4-0. They are 7-3-1 right now, off to a great start this season. Canadiens win 5-2 over the Maple Leafs, Bruins get a win 3-0 over the Blues. The Predators get a win over the Lightning 3-2. Flyers beat the Blue Jackets 4-7. Wild win 5-1 over the Kings. Penguins, they get a win 3-0 over the Stars. First shutout for Matt Murray this season. Ducks get a win 5-2 over the Avalanche. That's a rare loss for the Avs. And the Jets, they win just barely in overtime, 2-1 to the Flames. Now, those were all on Saturday. Moving over to our Sunday games, you have the Panthers and Oilers. Panthers won 6-2. Perhaps the Panthers could be real deal this season. Perhaps the Oilers could be real deal this season. Definitely two teams we did not expect to be playing as well as they are. Red Wings lost to the Blues in overtime 5-4. Bruins right now are beating the Rangers in the second period. Senators beating the Sharks in the second period. Islanders crushing the Flyers in the second period. No surprise there. Islanders are also, they are having a great couple weeks. I think they're won like 5 straight games. I don't know. We'll look at the standings in a second. Blackhawks are beating the Kings 2-0, and then the Ducks and Golden Knights. That game's just kicking off right now, so there's no score at the moment. And looking over at the standings, the Atlantic right now is being dominated by the Sabres. They're 9-2-1, 19 points. That's 3 ahead of the Bruins, who've only lost 1 game in regulation. They're 7-1-2. Panthers are in third at 5-2-4. I mean, right there, you have 3 crazy talented teams that no one expected to be in the top 3 in this division. The Bruins, are always usually up there, but the Maple Leafs and Lightning have been the two if you look at the rosters, those are the 2 most stacked teams. The Maple Leafs are 6-5 with 14 points. So they are tied with the Panthers. And the Lightning are 5-3 with only 12 points. They're tied with the Canadiens. If you had said that to me last year, because I think, how many points did they end up with? A lot. They won like 70 games last year. And then you remember what happened. They pooped the bed against Columbus in the playoffs, but let's ignore that. I would have been laughing at you if you told me that the Lightning would be in 5th place in the first 10 games of this NHL season. Absolutely laughing. Absolutely. Red Wings and Senators at the bottom of the barrel. In the Metro, things are shaking up a little bit. You have 4 teams with 7 wins, so it's pretty close. The Capitals right now are playing really strong. They're 8-2-3, 19 points, so they're number 1. Right behind them is the Hurricanes, who've played 3 less games. They have 15 points, 7 wins. Islanders, 7-3. I have to correct myself. I said they won 5 straight. They won 6 straight. Not bad for the Isles. Penguins not having as great a season. The injury bug's biting them hard. They're at 7-5 with 14 points. Blue Jackets at 12, not far behind the Pens. And then you got the Flyers, Rangers, and Devils all leaning. Well, Flyers are actually surprisingly not far off if they win a few games. But the Rangers and Devils are in irrelevance territory. For the record, the Rangers have only played 8 games, where the Capitals have played 13. Who made this schedule? It wasn't me. Let's move over to the West. Let me scratch my nose here. How do you like that, folks watching me on YouTube? All right, Central, you got the Avalanche. They're up 8-2, 17 points. Predators win 7-3, 15 points there. Blues win this one 6-3. Jets are behind them. They're 6-6 at 12 points apiece. So the Predators having a good week. They won 3 straight games. Last week they weren't looking so hot. Blues are also getting a little bit better right now. They're starting to push their way up. Jets are a surprise lower team. And then you got the Stars, Wild, and Blackhawks down below. The Pacific has been the one division that is just all over the board this season. So the Oilers look like they're an actual contender. Still too soon to tell, but 8-3. Connor McJesus is really making the Oilers look good right now. Happy trails for Edmonton. The Ducks are 7-5, and so are the Golden Knights, so they're right behind them, each of them, with 14 points. Sorry, I got to scratch my nose here again. The Flames are 6-5, 14. They had a really good season last year. They fizzled out. Get it? Did you get it? They fizzled out. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. Coyotes are actually looking pretty good. They're 6-3, 13 points. They've played 3 less games, 2 or 3 less games than all the teams ahead of them. So there's a real potential for them and the Canucks, who've also played 3 less games. Not Jaguars, Sharks and Kings. So, it almost seems like some of these teams at the bottom of these lists, the standings, haven't played as many games as the rest. And so these standings could shake out very differently in a week or two. Obviously, it's still early in the season, just like basketball, so you never really know what's going to shake out. And with that, we're going to wrap up this little show in a bow. Oh man, I haven't eaten sugar all week, and I ended up having we took our anniversary cake out of the fridge earlier. I think I'm a little more sugar high than I thought I was. So special thanks as usual to my wife. Congratulations, you and I, 1 year. It's been amazing. Actually, it was a few weeks ago. We just kind of ate our cake today. Sorry. Johanna Drago, she is the content editor, logo designer, and set designer of this podcast. Of course, the music for the show is Song Gold, Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. Special thanks, as usual, to Johanna Albert. Mary Kay Albert, my mother-in-law. Social media warrior, so is Joe Calabra, Jorge Pajares, and gang. Jamie Grum, my buddy, him and I, we started our own podcast. It's called Big Spoon, Little Spoon, and you should check it out. We're getting prepared for season 2 at the moment. That's what else did I have to say? If you want to hear more, just go to YouTube, type in Big Spoon, Little Spoon. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Our emails, wehateforks@gmail.com. For this show, if you like what you heard, email me at sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Sorry, there's a hair in my mouth. All right, let's keep going. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of those fun things, and Twitter at us, email us, and all those fun things. I'm gonna get out of here because clearly the rat that's in there, he's just spinning the wheel and it's not even doing anything. So thank you so much for joining me, friends. It's been a pleasure as usual, and have a good night. Caw-caw! Ooh.